The morning lots at the Penn auction house were closed today as Reginald Penn Jr. was questioned under caution by police in connection with two bodies that washed up on the shores of the Filton Ford on the 17th. His father, Reginald Sr., refused comment. No official statement has been released as of yet from the family. The autopsy reports confirmed the victims showed several fractures on their skulls and lacerations to the brain as well as neck trauma. It's likely they were dead before the bodies were dumped into the water. I'm Sandra Wake, and I'll be back after these important messages with the full story.
Alex shuddered as he switched off the news report. More violence up in City, Maine. There may have been no official statements yet, but everyone knew the Penns had been having trouble with the tullocks of the north side area. Alex thought of the video game he had been playing. Lonesome Nights was set in a city much like Colford. The player could murder, pillage and pick up prostitutes to their heart's content. The virtual violence was enough for Alex to stomach. He didn't need to be reminded of the real-life horrors. He had been an avid fan of video games for a long time. As a sickly child, he had nothing much else to do and no other friends. When he met his best friend, David, they got on so well because they both shared a love of video games. David didn't have the same aversion to real-life violence as he did. He had been raised in an entirely different environment. The abusive home he escaped from left him with experiences that made Lonesome Nights seem quite the norm. Even the thought of having to speak to the police made Alex nervous. David, on the other hand, had been brought home by them many times. He had still been pondering the grisly scene the morning report had been making when he arrived for his shift at Colford Vet Clinic. He preferred the animals. They were much easier to predict, therefore easier to understand. Any violence they inflicted was out of instinct. Humans, they could be so unnecessarily cruel. As the morning progressed, he managed to take his mind off the news. Mrs. Risno brought in her overweight Persian cat. It was constipated again. Alex had to wrestle a German Shepherd pup too. And an old Labrador Retriever urinated all over his table. Still, that was much easier than dealing with people. He had been washing his hands for the 10th time that morning. He had been just about to drop himself into a chair and catch his breath when the vet nurse, Kaylee, popped her head in, smiling with a mouthful of braces. "Someone's just come in with a bit of an emergency. Do you have a minute?" Alex appreciated how attached people could be to their pets. He would hate to leave them stressed. "What kind of animal?" he asked. Dogs and cats were most common animals at his clinic. He'd had the occasional guinea pig, and a giant Ordonez constrictor snake was a regular for health checkups. Rats. Rats. He thinks they may have been poisoned. What's the name? Penn. The moment he heard the name, that morning's news story started to play in his mind again.
Reginald Jr. was questioned under caution by police in connection with two bodies that washed up on the shores of the Filton Ford.
Skull fractures, brain lacerations, neck wounds. Reggie Penn Jr. came bounding into the room seeming quite distressed, holding a carrier for rodents. He didn't look as dark around the eyes in real life as the picture the news report had used, yet he was still just as dazed. He was quite an imposing figure. The black jeans and black t-shirt he wore, the uniform of his auction house, added a looming gothic monster appeal to his persona. What Alex noticed was how delicately he handled the sickly rodents. "Thanks for seeing them on such short notice, Doctor. I wanted to get them to a vet right away. They've been poisoned," Reggie told him. Alex wanted to remind him he wasn't generally referred to as a doctor. It tended to cause confusion with those who treated human patients. He figured it was best to stick to the matter at hand. "You believe they've been poisoned?" Alex wanted to clarify as Reggie opened the carrier. Both of the rats were in a terrible state. One still had some life in them, sniffing at Reggie's hand as he plucked it delicately and rested it in his hands. The other lay on its side at the back of the carrier, breathing heavily. "Did they get into something poisonous in the house?" Alex asked. "No, some fucker did this to them." "Oh." Alex was verbally kicking himself for asking. He had to, though. "I have about 30 of them just now. I keep them at the family warehouses. Someone broke in and poisoned these two," Reggie explained. "You say you have 30? 30 rats?" Reggie passed the rat in his hand for Alex's inspection. "I've always found them fascinating, he said. They have real good survival instincts. I read a lot about them as a kid. I got my first one at 13 and I've been keeping them ever since. I'm on my 5th generation." As Alex inspected the sick rodent, Reggie fetched the other. He held it in his hand, gently stroking its fur. You get attached to them, don't you? I didn't even mean to. When I got my first one, it was purely out of scientific interest. I wasn't even going to give them names, just numbers, like an experiment. I couldn't help it, though. That one you're holding is Jacket, because the brown fur around his middle makes it look like he's wearing a little jacket, doesn't it? Alex had to agree. It did. The other one is Smash, said Reggie, the rodent he was holding, the more sickly of the pair. I like the Lonesome Nights character, Alex asked, without really giving it too much thought. He was more focused on examining his patient. Reggie beamed. That's right. Do you play? Yeah, a little bit, Alex admitted, taking Smash from him and setting Jacket down delicately. Reggie watched eagerly as Alex examined the sicker rat. It didn't look good. All Alex could think was, please God, do not let this rat die in my care. Skull fractures, brain lacerations, neck wounds. So what's the deal, Doc? Reggie asked. It's hard to tell how much damage has been done. You said you have others? Are none of those sick? These two are cage mates. The people who tried to hurt them didn't get much further. Alex swallowed the tension that was gathering in his throat. I see. He set Smash down and rested the rat back on its side. I can put them both on drips for 24 hours, get fluids in them and treat them with vitamin K1. We can see how they are from there. I won't be able to assess any internal bleeding until their vitals are under control. Reggie smiled. The genuine relief softened his sharp features. Thank you, Doc. I really appreciate it. I always brought them to Ferdinand, but he retired though, moved over to the island. That's right, I took over for him. Reggie gave a sigh, calming himself now his pets were in the right hands. Your nurse has my number. I'll leave you to it. To the rats he said, I'll be back soon enough. Hang in there. At that, Reggie departed and Alex gave his own sigh. He couldn't imagine himself being indebted to Reggie Penn, or worse, unable to save his precious rodents. David! David! There was a groan on the other end as David brought himself round. Did I wake you? It was the middle of the day. Still, Alex was likely to have caught him napping on his sofa back in his apartment. David was an artist. He kept a small allotment up north in the quiet, secluded area of Bolton, where he would work on his pieces, sometimes through the night, leaving him mentally, spiritually, and physically exhausted.
What's up, man?
David asked, the sleepiness still dripping from his voice. You'll never guess who I had in the clinic this morning.
A gorilla,
David supposed with a chuckle. Funny, replied Alex sardonically. No, Reggie Penn.
Reggie Penn? What was he doing in there? Finally gone rabid, has he?
He brought in 2 rats. He keeps lots of them. 2 of them got poisoned, and now he's relying on me to save them. I just saw his mugshot on the news before I got here. He was questioned about the bodies that washed up in the Filton Ford.
Yeah, that was a Penn hit for sure,
said David.
Someone must have pissed him off. The Penns always bash skulls in.
Alex shuddered again. I can't have these rats die on me. I don't want my skull bashed in. David started to laugh. It's not funny, Alex insisted.
Did he threaten you?
David asked. Quite the opposite. He was really friendly. He was talking as though someone had deliberately poisoned them. They broke into the warehouses where he keeps them to do it. I can't get caught up in something like that.
Just relax. Just do what you can for the rats,
was David's advice. Alex sighed. They were both in a pretty bad way. Smash was on the brink. I have them under observation. David chuckled.
Aren't you violating doctor-patient confidentiality telling me this?
Alex recounted to David how Reggie was not at all what he had expected. He was really quite sweet with the rats and genuinely upset that they had been hurt. He had called 3 times already for updates. There wasn't much they could do. His family owned the building. The practice just leased it from them. Reggie may have been sweet and caring with the rats. Alex couldn't shake the knowledge that he hadn't been so kind to the men washed up on the river. Were they worse than rats? Alex gave another shudder. Later that night, Alex returned to his apartment in the Midwest, Hollyburn. David was already there. He had been couch surfing for a while on rocky terms with his girlfriend Laura. Alex was glad to have him there, though. This situation with Reggie Penn had left him a little unnerved, to say the least. David was more worldly than he. He'd help him see reason. David and Alex got on so well because Alex was a worrier. David, on the other hand, approached life with a, well, what's the worst that can happen This could be frustrating for Alex, but they balanced each other out. They'd been playing Lonesome Nights. David's character had just been hit by a truncheon and was making a getaway. Alex had been able to shake off the stress of the day, realising how ridiculous he was being, when his phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognise. When he answered, he was greeted by a husky voice.
Hey, Doctor, I hope I didn't catch you in the middle of something.
Mr. Penn, sir. David looked up from the game, quickly hitting pause.
It's alright, you can call me Reggie.
Thanks. How can I help you, Reggie?
The clinic told me you'd left for the night, and I just wanted to check in, see how Jacket and Smash were doing. The nurse said they were doing better, but I wanted to hear it from the man himself, like.
Alex glanced at David. He could only shrug in response. They're doing much better. I left instructions to check their vitals intermittently. Reggie sighed.
That's good. I can't thank you enough.
You're welcome, Alex replied, sounding unsure whether he was welcome or not. Did I give you my personal number? I'm pretty sure I didn't. Reggie laughed it off as though that weren't the issue.
Yeah, sorry about that. The clinic had your details. I thought since you're a mate, I could catch you at home.
Alex cut himself off. He had no idea what that was.
I'll let you go.
Reggie said. He meant it in an off-the-cuff friendly sort of way. Alex took it as the prisoner he felt like. I'll give you a call in the morning once I've had a chance to check on them.
You're a star, like.
Reggie cried. He really was quite charming in his way. Alex closed the call. He and David shared a look. I'm on Reggie Penn's contacts? Alex cried. He found the situation quite alarming. David found it hilarious. Alex considered himself a compassionate man. He was a vet, and like most vets, he loved animals. Never had he been so concerned about any animal as he had been for the two rats named Jacket and Smash. He hadn't slept much the night before. When he did sleep, he was plagued with nightmares. In those nightmares, he was tied up, and the rest of Reggie's rats were nibbling on his flesh. Surely Reggie would understand he wasn't the one to poison his pets. He was just doing his best. You look like you had a rough night, Kaylee commented when she saw him. I'm fine, he found himself saying when nothing about him felt fine at all. Nothing would, until he checked on those damn rats. He breathed a sigh of relief. Jacket was restlessly moving about his cage, eager and full of energy. Smash was greedily munching on a carrot. They looked well, and the last note showed their vitals were within the normal range. Alex smiled. He tapped softly on the cage. I'm so glad you're okay, little guys. And he meant it. That afternoon, Reggie returned to the clinic. A couple of large, brooding men dressed in the same black and belt waited for him by the door. Reggie beamed boyishly when the rats were brought to him. You look much better. You're a miracle worker, Doctor. I think we managed to get them just in time, said Alex. Reggie held the carrier up, looking in at the rodents, who were now squeaking quite happily. They've been on vitamin K1. Since we don't know what kind of rodenticide was used, you should continue that for another couple of weeks. I'll check them over again then. If they fall ill in the meantime, bring them back in and we'll get them back on fluids. Reggie gave some tutting noises to Jacket, who was climbing up the bars in an attempt to get closer to him. Seeing owners reunited with their pets was one of Alex's favourite parts of being a vet. For a brief moment, he forgot what kind of man he was dealing with. Reggie locked his drug-addled gaze on him when he saw him watching him. You can take them home now. By the time Alex got home, he was looking forward to washing off the day. Alex, wait up! Alex turned, his chest tightened as he caught sight of blonde hair. Luckily, it wasn't a pen, it was the unkempt, bleached hair of David's. Oh, thank God it's you, Alex gasped. David narrowed his gaze. Who else would it be? I gave Reggie back his rats today. Thankfully, they were okay. He'll be pleased then, won't he? David jested, as he slowly started to climb the steps. He was really pleased. He kept calling me his mate. David laughed. Well, that's good. You might have ended up in the rat cages. He stuck his tongue out and made a comical imitation of a man dying. Alex punched his arm good-naturedly. It's not funny, he said, but now he was laughing too. His phone beeped, so he stopped on the steps to check it. It was a notification from the Lonesome Nights game.
Registry Online sent you a friend request.
Fuck! Alex exclaimed. He showed David. David shrugged. You better not ignore it. Do you want to have rats put up your arse? Alex stared at him in horror. True story, man, the artist confirmed with a shrug. Alex accepted the request. Just as he made to store his phone away, it beeped again.
Registry Online sent you 5,000 coins.
Alex had been given a generous amount of credit to use within the game. A message followed. Thanks again, Doctor. Have a good quality prostitute on me. David laughed more heartily when Alex showed him the new development. Can you believe this? Alex exclaimed. David grinned. You should ask him for real money, or a real prostitute. They both continued joshing until they entered Alex's apartment. Alex's mind turned back to why the rats had been poisoned in the first place. Why would someone do that? Alex wondered. David picked up the copy of Colford Daily the downstairs neighbour had put through the door, as she did every day when she had finished reading. Those guys have enemies, and people out there are sick. Alex dropped into the sofa. Well, I hope it doesn't happen again. I don't think I'm cut out to be Reggie Penn's personal vet. David had been flicking through the sports pages for the latest news on the Colford Athletic football team when he stumbled on an article of interest. Well, I don't think they'll be doing it again anyway. He showed Alex the headline. That caught his attention. Man found dead in a Northside lockup. Coroner's report confirms death by rat poison. Coincidence? Not very likely.